It's our final threat for storms this week, but some of us are under a level 2 storm threat. I'll have a closer look at the timing for when storms fire up and when they leave the area.
And breaking news, Durham police make a second arrest in a deadly shooting as officers work to solve a rash of violence involving handguns.
And as Mother's Day approaches, we are reminded of all the things that mom does outside the home. Coming up, why business experts say companies should do more to support moms in the workplace.
It is a WRAL weather alert day with a level 2 threat for severe storms in our southern counties. Good afternoon to you. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Michelle McConaughey in for Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Kat Campbell is in the WRAL Severe Weather Center with a look at what time the storms will start, Kat.
We could see storms fire up as early as 2 o'clock, but I think the threat will extend through sunset tonight. Then we get a break from storms for the weekend. But today we're dealing with another severe weather threat. That level 2 threat is for Fayetteville, points south down toward Wilmington in the coast. So keep that in mind if you're traveling to the coast this weekend for Mother's Day. You may run into some severe storms on your way there. And then south and east of Raleigh, there's a level 1 threat for severe storms. Hail will be possible given the way the atmosphere is set up. There could also be some damaging wind gusts and a small risk of an isolated tornado. The bulk of the severe weather today has been down in Florida so far along the Panhandle. We're watching this front. That'll be the focus of some of these storms to form. And that's why there's a greater threat in our southeastern counties, closer to where the front is. We just got a new run of Futurecast in. We get a new one in every hour. It's showing the storms firing up a little bit later, about 2 to 3 o'clock. And we'll see some of those scattered storms in our eastern counties through the evening commute, with a few other storms that develop a little bit later on. But those should be out of here around sunset, which is just after 8 o'clock tonight. After that, we dry out for tonight. Things quiet down for the weekend. Good news there. We do have a small chance for some showers, though, tomorrow night with some upper level energy. Things are nice and quiet on the radar for now, but we do have that warm, unstable air in our southern counties. Temperatures are in the 70s right now, dew points in the mid 60s to near 70s. So we do have an energized atmosphere ahead of any thunderstorm development. I'll have a closer look at your weekend forecast and that potential for viewing the northern lights coming up.
Breaking news in Durham. In the past hour, police announced a second arrest in a shooting that killed a person earlier this week. Yeltsin Cinto Orozco is charged with first-degree murder and assault with a deadly weapon. The second suspect is William Antonio Sanchez Vasquez, and that person's charged with the shooting that happened Wednesday night at Duke Manor Apartments. Both of the men appeared in court moments ago, and WRAL's Monica Casey was there. Monica, it's been a violent week in Durham.
Yeah, Jeff, it has been. We know at least one person has died in that Wednesday night shooting. That's 27-year-old Nelson Mendez Vasquez. We learned here in court just a few moments ago the name of another victim, Rosa Dominguez. She was also shot with a rifle that night, and she is still fighting for her life. Both suspects in this case face the same charges of first-degree murder, multiple counts of assault with a deadly weapon, and firing into an occupied property. Cinto Orozco also has 2 pending assault charges and failures to appear on those from 2023. He was given no bond today. That second suspect is set to appear before a judge. That first appearance is still going right now. Now, in addition to Wednesday night's deadly shooting, there were 3 more shootings in Durham yesterday. A group of men got into an argument at the downtown Durham bus station and started firing at each other. No one was shot in that incident. Just a couple hours later, around 5:40 yesterday, a woman was shot at McDougald Terrace. She had non-life-threatening injuries. Then just after 12 this morning, police found 2 more people shot. A man was found on Barbie Chapel Road with minor injuries, and a woman with more serious injuries was found nearby on Woodcroft Parkway. Police have not released information about any arrests in those 3 shootings from yesterday just yet. Jeff?
Frustrating for police and the people who live in the Bull City. That is Monica Casey live for us this noon. Thank you for the update. Garner police, meantime, searching for the person who fired shots at a car in a Sheetz parking lot. The WRAL breaking news tracker was at that gas station on Cabela Drive. It was about 2:30 this morning. Police say nobody was in the car, so nobody was hurt. The Sheetz store was closed during the investigation.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu vowed that his country would stand alone if the U.S. followed through on threats to suspend arms shipments over a full-scale invasion of the southern Gaza city of Rafah. NBC's Raf Sanchez reports from Tel Aviv.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu defiant in the face of the White House's decision to put on hold a shipment of weapons to Israel's military, saying that if Israel needs to fight alone, it will fight alone. Now, that comes as there are indications that what started as a limited Israeli military operation in the southern city of Rafah now appears to be expanding. There are reports of Israeli tanks seizing one of the main roads dividing east and west Rafah. The IDF not commenting on those reports of an expanded military operation, but I spoke to a medical volunteer in a hospital in the west of the city earlier today, and they told me that they were hearing machine gun fire and they were hearing explosions. Now, that would be a real test of the White House's determination, given that they have said consistently that they are opposed to any large-scale Israeli military operation in the city of Rafah, where more than 1 million Palestinian civilians are sheltering. Now, the latest round of ceasefire talks in Cairo has finished for now. CIA Director Bill Burns has left the country, and Hamas's delegation heading back to Doha to consult with its leadership. So after what appeared to be some momentum towards a deal that would get the hostages out, get more humanitarian aid in, and pause the fighting, it now seems that those talks are stalled at best. Raf Sanchez, NBC News, Tel Aviv.
Police cleared pro-Palestinian encampments from at least 3 college campuses this morning. In Philadelphia, officers moved in before daybreak following rain overnight, and police gave the protesters a 2-minute warning to leave the campus or face possible arrests. The officers then moved in to form a semicircle around the encampment and take down several tents. While some of the protesters left, dozens refused to move while chanting.
Former Donald Trump lawyer Michael Cohen is expected to take the stand Monday in the former president's hush money trial. Cohen is expected to be on the stand for several days. He's at the center of the case as the one who paid adult film star actor Stormy Daniels $130,000 to keep her quiet about an alleged affair with Trump. This was toward the end of the 2016 presidential campaign. Trump later reimbursed Cohen in payments prosecutors say were covered up with falsified business records. Trump has pleaded not guilty and denied Daniels' claim. A federal appeals court upheld the criminal contempt conviction of Steve Bannon. You may recall he served as a senior aide in the Trump White House. Bannon defied a subpoena from the congressional committee that investigated the January 6th attack on the U.S. Capitol. The court's decision means Bannon may soon have to start serving a 4-month prison sentence, although his lawyers could ask for the full circuit court to hear his case or appeal to the U.S. Supreme Court.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky is looking for a new top bodyguard after firing his former one over an alleged foiled assassination plot. The leader was fired 2 days after 2 colonels were detained. Zelensky has reportedly faced several attempts on his life since Russia began its full-scale invasion of Ukraine in February of 2022.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, we want to let you know that right now the Carolina Hurricanes just hit the ice for a practice skate, and we want to show you the video from last night when that goal was scored. And I got to tell you, every time we show this goal, it just hurts Carolina Hurricanes fans. It was a heartbreaking loss to Game 3, ending in overtime, of course. This marks 5 straight overtime losses for the Canes. Also, the team is 0 for 15 on power play scoring. We're expecting to hear from Coach Rod Brindamore and the players about what needs to happen for them to pull out a Game 4 win. Of course, if they make any announcement or they talk to the media in this hour of the newscast, we'll bring it to you here in this noon hour.
The U.S. Golf Association's new headquarters in Pinehurst will soon be open to visitors. A grand opening was held today at the new facility. That new building will include the World Golf Hall of Fame, which you're seeing video of right now. The grand opening comes ahead of next month's U.S. Open being hosted at Pinehurst No. 2. This area is full of historic artifacts, including a signed outfit worn by Payne Stewart at the 1999 U.S. Open. The exhibit will be free and open to the public starting May 15th.
Today, students at the UNC School of Law will celebrate their graduation. The ceremony gets started in less than 30 minutes at Carmichael Arena. Governor Roy Cooper will be the commencement speaker there. And it's going to be a very busy weekend in the Triangle with so many commencement ceremonies happening. UNC's graduation ceremonies are happening tomorrow. The university added new safety measures this year. That's because of pro-Palestinian protests on campus in recent weeks. And a new clear bag policy will also be in place. Also, graduates will need to show their student ID. You are not allowed to bring signs or flags into Kenan Stadium. And Duke University's commencement is on Sunday. Jerry Seinfeld will give that address. We've reached out to Duke about possible security changes there. We have not heard back yet. And WRAL.com has your guide to all of the college graduations happening this weekend. You'll find the where and when, whether you want to attend or just avoid the traffic.
Take a look at stocks this noon. The big story here is the Dow Jones Industrial Average, which you are seeing on your screen right now. It has spent the entire day in positive territory. A win today would mean an 8-day winning streak, the best of the year for the Dow Jones Industrial Average. S&P 500 relatively unchanged. The NASDAQ is down almost 30 points this noon. Next at noon, new body cam video just released shows the moment a U.S. airman was shot and killed by a Florida deputy. What his family and police are saying about the incident.
Also, former President Jimmy Carter is in hospice at his Georgia home. What the 99-year-old just did, exercising a time-honored right.
Plus, another investigation into Boeing airliners. At 12:30, the recent incidents that prompted another probe.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
Newly released body cam video shows the moments leading up to a deadly shooting of a 23-year-old airman. Roger Fortson was shot to death by a Florida deputy while inside his apartment. Fortson's family says they had the wrong man in the wrong apartment. NBC's Sam Brock spoke with the family and police and shares the story.
When an Okaloosa County deputy pulled into this Florida apartment complex, it took about 3 minutes for him to enter an office.
What's going on? I'm not sure.
And connect with an unidentified woman about an alleged disturbance.
Are they fighting or something?
She eventually took him to the unit 1401, where she believes the fighting originated. That's where relatives say senior airman Roger Fortson was alone, FaceTiming with his girlfriend.
Sheriff's office, open the door!
After the deputy identifies himself twice, Fortson opens up the door with a gun visible by his side, but not raised. A split second later,
Step out.
6 shots are fired, and the 23-year-old's life is over.
At any point did the Okaloosa County Sheriff's Department say, we went to the wrong apartment?
The Okaloosa Sheriff's Department has not owned up to the fact that they went to the wrong apartment, as if he did something wrong, as if he was committing some crime. He did nothing.
We spoke to Fortson's mother, Mika, and her lawyer, civil rights attorney Benjamin Crump, shortly before the video was released.
There's a lot of doubt in my mind because Roger was the only person in his apartment. They said they was answering to a disturbance. Was he fighting himself?
The family's attorney says Fortson's gun was a legally registered firearm. And the sheriff's department this morning doubling down that they were in the right place.
I told Mr. Fortson's family this afternoon that they have my word. If this shooting is found to be unjustified, their son's name will be fully vindicated and justice will be served.
As the investigation into the senior airman's death deepens, his family says the brother of 5, who was particularly close to his 10-year-old sister, set the standard for how to achieve your dreams.
He wanted everybody happy.
He was a caretaker for you, but he also was trying to show a better path for his family.
He was a role model.
Sam Brock reporting. Last week, the family attorney also released nearly 4 minutes of the FaceTime call. He says Fortson was on with his girlfriend when he was shot. The video shows what appears to be the ceiling of an apartment as a man, presumably Fortson, can be heard groaning and saying, "I can't breathe." Another man can be heard telling him, "Do not move, stop moving."
The Kansas man who confessed to stealing a bronze statue of Jackie Robinson from a park is expected to be sentenced in July. Ricky Alderete pled guilty on Thursday to multiple charges related to the theft. The statue was found burned and in pieces inside a trash can at the baseball park. Investigators believe that Alderete had hoped to make money by selling the bronze as scrap metal. He faces a maximum sentence of 19 years in prison. The judge could also order him to pay $41,000 to the Youth Baseball League that paid for that statue. And 2 schools in Virginia will bring back names of Confederate leaders less than 4 years after those names were changed. The Shenandoah County School Board voted after midnight to restore the names of Stonewall Jackson and Turner Ashby to the schools. The names had been changed in 2020 as part of a resolution to condemn racism.
About 1 in 8 adults say they have taken weight loss drugs like Ozempic. A recent poll found 6% of respondents say they are currently taking the popular drugs. Most adults say they took them to treat a chronic condition, including diabetes or heart disease, while about 40% say they took them to lose weight. Wegovy, which contains the same key ingredient as Ozempic, was approved in 2021 for obesity. A major international cigarette manufacturer is relocating its U.S. headquarters to Raleigh. The move could bring more than 100 jobs to the city: sales, service, customer service, administration, employees. The company says it is also looking for people with marketing, finance, and human resource skills. JT International USA Incorporated makes Winston, Camel, and other brands of cigarettes.
Former President Jimmy Carter isn't letting a small thing like age get in the way of him exercising his right to vote. The 99-year-old cast a mail-in ballot this week for the Georgia primary, emphasizing that his grandfather is not going to miss an election. Jimmy Carter has been in hospice care in his hometown of Plains, Georgia for the past year, and during that time, he celebrated his 99th birthday in October and attended the annual Peanut Festival. He also mourned the loss of his wife, Rosalind Carter, who died in November at the age of 96. The couple had been married 77 years.
What's happening now in the WRAL Live? So we want to take a look at some video and the damage left behind by a line of severe storms, possibly tornadoes that hit Tallahassee, Florida this morning. Those line of storms brought down trees, left a swath of damage. It left power lines down, buildings destroyed. This is a car dealership that was completely demolished. This storm hit during the morning commute, including when students are trying to get to school. Schools all across the city, of course, are closed right now. More than 70,000 people are currently without power, and utility company says it could take some time before power is restored. We want to get to meteorologist Kat Campbell at the WRAL Severe Weather Center tracking our severe weather alert day today. Kat.
Right, and that area was under a level 3 threat for severe storms at one point. Most of our storms today are going to be in the southeastern part of our viewing area, and we're looking at a time frame this afternoon through about 8 o'clock tonight. So through sunset, we'll have the potential for a few strong to severe storms. The primary threats: hail, damaging wind gusts, and a small end threat of a tornado popping up. There's a level 2 threat in our southern counties, including Fayetteville, just south and east of Raleigh over toward Goldsboro and Rocky Mount, a level 1 threat for severe storms. The focus of these thunderstorms that fire up should be closer to this cold front here, and that's why it's mainly the southeastern part of our viewing area where we could see those storms firing up early this afternoon. As the kids are heading home, we'll have a chance of a few storms, so just be aware of that as they're headed home. Maybe getting off the bus, there could be a few areas dealing with rain, and then the more intense storms look like they're going to be east of I-95 this afternoon for the evening commute, though we could see some additional scattered storms develop even around the triangle later this evening and into tonight. So we'll keep an eye on that for you. Overnight, though, we'll begin to clear out. The clouds start to clear. Temperatures dip into the low to mid 50s. 50 degrees tomorrow morning in Roxborough. We cool down. And skies clearing tonight is significant. We just got an update in from the University of Alaska Fairbanks. So they have a forecast system for the northern lights that they use. And I told you yesterday that there was a really strong geomagnetic storm watch, the strongest in 19 years. And that means nothing scary, just the potential to see the northern lights. I don't know about you, that's on my bucket list for sure. And with this update that we got, so the possible maximum scenario visibility extends now all the way into Florida. Previously it was Alabama. We're in the zone where with the naked eye, no telescope needed, you could see the northern lights. The latest timing looks to be around 2 to 5 a.m. tomorrow morning. So we'll be on top of this for you. We'll continue to get in new information this afternoon, and you'll hear from a NASA expert coming up on our 7 o'clock news this evening. So be sure to check back in if that's something that interests you. For this evening, it's pretty warm out there this afternoon, 77 in Durham and Raleigh, 74 in Fayetteville, but we're going to start to see our humidity drop later on this evening into tonight. 62 the current dew point, so it feels tolerable on the muggy meter. It's going to feel refreshing by the time we get to the weekend. Mother's Day is gorgeous on Sunday, about 60 degrees at 8 a.m. By noon, 72, and we're warming up in the mid to upper 70s Sunday afternoon. I did want to mention tomorrow we're dry during the day. There will be a very small chance, 20% chance, of a quick shower passing through later tomorrow night. That would mainly be in our northern counties. Looking ahead, 74 is the high tomorrow, 79 on Sunday. We just got to get through the storms today, and then we get a nice break from the storms for the weekend and during the day Monday. But by the middle of next week, our next storm system is set to arrive Tuesday into Wednesday. No more 90s showing up on our 7-day forecast, though. Jeff and Michelle?
All right, thanks, Kat. Well, the next time a storm knocks out power and traffic lights start flashing, a new rule might be in place. Coming up at 4, efforts from the NCDOT to change flashing yellows to an always stop.
Then at 6, WRAL climate reporter Liz McLaughlin reports on how climate change is prompting state officials to re-examine when and how they prepare for hurricane season. Well, still ahead this noon, mothers do a lot for families as well outside the home.
There's a misconception that going on maternity leave is some kind of break or vacation.
Coming up, we'll take a closer look at why business experts say companies should do more to support mothers in the workplace.
Plus, Apple is apologizing for an ad it admits missed the mark. The ad that some say crushed confidence in the company's purpose for technology.
Mother's Day is Sunday, and loved ones are racing around to find perfect last-minute gifts for mom. But there's another group that should work to understand the challenges of motherhood.
Yeah, some management professionals say that recognizing and supporting moms is critical in business settings. Chanley Painter explains how it could promote more productive workplace environments.
While Mother's Day is a time to honor the mother figures in our lives, business experts say it's not just families that should show support to moms, citing how it's important for companies to understand the challenges facing mothers in the workplace, especially new parents. According to Allison Gabriel of Purdue University, one of the biggest concerns working women have is how they could be perceived by going on maternity leave.
I think there's a misconception that going on maternity leave is some kind of break or vacation.
While the Pregnancy Discrimination Act of 1978 offers mothers legal protections at work, Gabriel encourages managers to go one step further.
Becoming a mom is a huge identity shift for women. And so by acknowledging that something really momentous happened, that's a really important signal to mothers coming back into the workplace that people recognize that that shift has happened.
This show of support can also be emotionally helpful for new mothers facing health complications upon returning to the office.
Postpartum depression, the estimates for women, they vary depending on the source, but on average what we tend to see is about 15% of individuals who have babies are diagnosed.
Gabriel says a postpartum depression diagnosis can occur at some point in the first year after giving birth.
So that means it's not just important to support people right when they re-enter the workplace, but throughout the entirety of that first year and beyond.
That was Chanley Painter reporting. Experts say that companies that show mothers they care about their work and home life have better odds of retaining those employees.
I would say they do.
Makes sense.
Boeing is facing a new investigation for reportedly falsifying safety records. What the company has to say about the latest allegations.
And here are your winning lottery numbers. Good luck.
Shot in 4K ultra high definition. Your number one source for local news. WRAL News. Coverage you can count on.
Police are investigating an early morning shooting that happened in North Raleigh. It happened on Shanda Drive, which is just off Sandy Forks Road.
Yeah, that's where we find WRAL's Chelsea Donovan with what we've learned so far in this investigation. Chelsea.
Yeah, so we're here at the legacy of Six Forks, and as you mentioned, right off Sandy Forks Road, and behind me in this building is where that shooting occurs. Take a look, though, what our photojournalist is showing you right now. That is a shattered patio glass door in that upper level apartment. But what is even more disturbing is take a look at this video we shot of the outside of that door here at the 6300 block of Shanda Drive. You can see 6 bullet holes going straight through the door, and of course also that shattered glass patio door. Now, Broadcastify radio traffic I just listened to says neighbors heard 6 shots and then heard a woman screaming. Raleigh police responded to this area to check out a report of shots fired. That was around 2 a.m. 3 hours later, our crew on the scene heard police asking a man to come out with his hands up. Around this time, Broadcastify radio traffic states a woman showed up with a gunshot wound just down the street at Duke Raleigh Hospital. Officers had guns pointing at the building, and we heard several popping noises. Neighbors we talked to say they were startled from their sleep.
I do recall before I woke up, a loud bang. I don't know if it was a flash gun or something, but yeah, that just like, hold on, that's what that was? Hold on, that's my address. Like, I live in this, I look out the window and it's like, oh, snap.
Now, the scene is clear now, but this, of course, is still an active investigation by Raleigh police. I asked them just a few minutes ago if they fired their weapons or if the suspect did. That did not occur, and right now we're waiting to see if anybody is in custody or any arrests have been made.
And what those popping sounds were. All right, Chelsea Donovan live first with that update. Thank you. Wake County deputies are investigating after someone fired shots in Wendell. This was the scene last night on Wendell Boulevard near NC 97. Video from the WRAL breaking news tracker shows deputies were there right along with Wendell police officers, and there are no reports of any injuries out of this case.
Honoring American heroes. That's the message of one nonprofit committed to walking 20,000 miles across 48 states, including here in North Carolina. The group walked through Raleigh Thursday to raise awareness about PTSD among service members.
A lot of veterans and first responders are dealing with a lot of PTSD, either job-related and or through military service-related. We did just conclude, 2 major wars that were our longest wars that were fought in U.S. history.
And Carry the Load raises money to help the military members, veterans, first responders, and their families deal with the challenges they face. This is the 14th annual relay. The trek ends in Dallas Memorial Day weekend. And today, care packages will be delivered to families on Fort Liberty for Military Spouse Appreciation Day. This annual event is organized by Support Military Families, and these are pictures from last year's event. The military sets aside the Friday before Mother's Day each year to pay tribute to these wives and husbands. This year marks 40 years of Military Spouse Appreciation Day.
And happening now in the WRAL Live Center, a traffic cam in St. Petersburg, Russia, caught this crash on camera. You can see the bus losing control, turning the corner into oncoming traffic, crashing into a car before plunging through a barricade and into the river below. Emergency officials say at least 3 passengers died and 6 others were taken to the hospital for treatment. No word yet on exactly why this happened or whether or not the bus driver suffered some type of medical emergency. Of course, this incident remains under investigation.
Well, that's a shocking video, Ken. A safety investigation is underway after several Boeing incidents in recent days. This comes as the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission reportedly launched a safety probe after the infamous Alaska Airlines door blowing out incident. Madeline Rivera reports.
Months after a door plug flew off an Alaska Airlines flight, Boeing is facing an investigation about comments it made regarding safety practices after that incident. According to Bloomberg, the U.S. Securities and Exchange Commission is looking to determine whether the plane maker misled investors in violation of SEC rules.
The quality of the aeroplanes that we produce will meet the standards that not only we expect, but our customers expect and the flying public needs.
Boeing's senior vice president says the company has slowed down production on some planes to improve safety and quality, but the company continues to face issues. On Thursday, dozens of passengers were evacuated from a 737 after it caught fire and skidded off a runway at a main Senegal airport. And now a former quality manager for Spirit Aerosystems, a major supplier of Boeing 737 MAX planes, claims he was pressured to downplay problems he found during inspection.
It was like a constant battle to go in there and just try to do my job. They asked me to document defects in a different way, basically falsify the information that was on how the documents were logged.
A Spirit spokesperson responding in part, quote, "We encourage all Spirit employees with concerns to come forward, safe and knowing they will be protected. We remain committed to addressing concerns and continuously improving workplace safety standards."
That was Madeline Rivera reporting. Boeing is facing a separate investigation from the FAA on inspections of its Dreamliner planes. Google may have some competition. How OpenAI is hoping to compete with that company.
And Apple apologizing for an ad, why they say they missed the mark. And if you see news happening or you'd like to share a story idea with us, click Report It in the WRAL News app. OpenAI plans to announce its artificial intelligence-powered search on Monday, raising the stakes in its competition with search king Google. The announcement could be timed a day before the Tuesday start of Google's annual conference, where the tech giant is expected to reveal a slew of AI-related products. And Apple is apologizing for an ad that some say crushed creativity. The company's new ad for its iPad Pro shows a hydraulic press crushing various creative items from musical instruments to classic video games and toys. And some fans say the commercial represents technology crushing human creativity. Apple says it apologizes for missing the mark and added that creativity is a very important part of the company.
The demand for cruises is hitting new records, and that means companies are looking to hire more workers. Royal Caribbean wants to hire as many as 10,000 workers worldwide this year. The number of people taking cruises hit an all-time high last year, and labor needs are growing with that surge. The hiring hike comes as 3 new ships have been added to the Royal Caribbean fleet. House lawmakers are expected to decide next week whether to extend oversight by the Federal Aviation Administration. The Senate passed a bill authorizing $105 billion in aviation funding Thursday. The funding is meant to bolster protections for passengers and to improve the country's air travel infrastructure. If the bill passes the House by the deadline, it will also renew the FAA's authority for 5 more years.
Coming up, Mother's Day can be filled with grief for people who are dealing with the loss of their mother or mother figure. After the break, we'll share expert advice on handling the pain that can accompany the day.
When you think of Northern Lights, you generally think of Iceland. But some of us are in for a treat when you can catch the beautiful glow over the United States.
On Sunday, we set aside time to celebrate and appreciate all the mothers and mother figures in our lives. But for some who have lost a child or lost a mother, this day can be really hard. Mandy Gaither spoke with a psychiatrist about ways to cope with grief and loss this Mother's Day.
Those who have suffered a loss or are struggling to conceive know the pain of grief.
It's really a challenge to have a day with a capital M and a capital D where a special attention is called to that relationship.
Dr. Tamar Gore with Ohio State's Wexner Medical Center says for some, Mother's Day can be painful and isolating. The first step to coping with that sadness is to be honest with yourself. Know it's okay to feel sad. Gore says you're not being selfish.
With these feelings, the way you feel is true. No one, there's no second guessing that. It's just the way that you feel, and you are entitled to your feelings.
Next, Gore says to set boundaries, stand up for yourself. It's okay to say no to Mother's Day activities.
But I can tell you there's no way to sneak around it. You have to go through it when it comes to grief or these complex feelings around motherhood.
Seek support, whether it's a friend or family member. You don't have to feel sad alone. And finally, Gore says to do something that's meaningful for you that day.
Maybe if it was a certain hike you enjoyed, maybe if there was a certain restaurant you went to that had meaning for you, really seeking out a way to commemorate where you are in this process or in this realm on Mother's Day can be really important for you to feel as okay as possible on what is a very difficult day.
And that was Mandy Gaither reporting. The doctor says that if you're struggling, it's a good idea to stay off social media for Mother's Day. She says simply unplugging can help her patients get through really difficult days.
It's also Mental Health Awareness Month, and as the world prepares for the 2024 Summer Olympics, NBC moderator for Meet the Press, Kristen Welker, sat down with the most decorated Olympian of all time, Michael Phelps, to discuss the Paris Olympics and his mental health journey.
As a male athlete, like I could tell something was off, but I think I saw it as a sign of weakness, and if I shared anything about it, then it would give my competitors an edge. And I'm not trying to do that, right? Like, I don't want to give my competitors an edge. I'm trying to be better than anybody, period, has ever been. So for me, I looked at it as weakness. So for me, I had to learn that vulnerability is a good thing. And it was scary at first, but I learned that vulnerability just means change. And for me, it was a great change.
Much more of Kristen Welker's interview with Olympic gold medalist Michael Phelps will air on this Sunday's Meet the Press.
It's awesome for him sharing that.
Yeah, he's been through a lot. He's
Yeah.
shared it a lot. I think it's kind of therapeutic for him.
Yeah, and he's human, just like
Yeah.
all of us. He goes through a lot of things.
Exactly.
So, all right, let's. As we wrap things up, here's a look at a few of the headlines we're following today.
Durham police have now arrested 2 men in connection with the shooting of 4 people at the Duke Manor Apartments on South LaSalle Street Wednesday. 1 man died in that shooting and a woman has life-threatening injuries. Yeltsin Cinto Orozco and William Sanchez Vasquez face first-degree murder and other charges.
And the North Carolina voter ID trial in Winston-Salem is winding down. The state NAACP filed federal challenges to the state's photo ID law. Supporters of the new law say voter ID will stop fraud. Opponents say the law's real intent is to disenfranchise minority voters. The trial, which began Monday, is predicted to last 10 days.
Right now, the Carolina Hurricanes are on the ice, a practice skate ahead of Game 4 tomorrow night at PNC Arena. Game 3 ended in overtime late last night with a third straight loss for the Canes in this round 2 playoff series in the Stanley Cup. If the Canes can't beat New York tomorrow, that'll be the end of their 2024 quest for the Cup.
A town near the capital of Illinois is honoring the woman credited with a game that would become known as Monopoly. Lizzie Maggie is credited with inventing the landlord's game in 1903, and the town of Macomb, where Lizzie was born, held a ribbon-cutting ceremony on Thursday for Macomb-opoly, the world's largest Monopoly board. The game requires an app, and the square is used as the game board, and you can win prizes along the way, like coupons for local businesses, or you can take a selfie in jail. The event took place on Maggie's birthday, and her great-great-grand niece was on hand for the celebration.
It's important, I think, that she gets the credit for what she's done, and she's recognized for being a woman ahead of her time.
And the project organizer says enhanced AI and more game pieces could soon be on the way. Residents and visitors can play Macomb-opoly 24 hours a day, 365 days a year.
Tonight, overnight, you have a chance to see something pretty special. A severe solar storm could supercharge the auroras, making them visible in North Carolina. This map shows us which parts of the planet will see the aurora the most. Mostly the northern states are going to get the best view, but North Carolina could still get a show. This is because of the rare G4 geomagnetic storm watch. We haven't seen anything like this since 2005. Don't expect to see super clear ribbons of the purple and green like this, but NASA Ambassador Tony Rice says the views here in North Carolina will likely be much more understated.
This one's going to be strong, but it doesn't look like it's going to be quite strong enough to produce what you may have seen in pictures on movies or TV or whatever. That being said, it might be strong enough that we could be able to see a bit of a greening to the horizon, a different color to the horizon.
And Rice says the best time to see this will be tonight before you go to bed. I'm thinking if you go to bed late. The darker your surroundings, the better. You could see a green haze on the horizon.
Our pet of the day is a 4-month-old puppy who's playful, spunky, and full of personality. Amber comes to us from the SPCA of Wake County. Right now, she's 18 pounds. She may grow to be around 60 to 75 pounds. All of Amber's siblings have been adopted, and she's looking for her forever home. She's looking for a family that's willing to teach her everything that comes with how to be a great dog family. For more information about adopting Amber, you can visit spcawake.org. Look at that face.
It's cute. A dramatic rise in childhood emergency room visits could lead to new safety changes in the melatonin industry. Today on our News at 4, how makers of the supplement are changing their packaging.
And expect some delays if you're driving in Holly Springs this weekend as work to complete the NC 540 project continues. East William Street will be closed from 9 o'clock tonight until 10 o'clock tomorrow morning for road work. The closure will be between the NC 55 bypass and Old Smithfield Road. Intermittent lane closures may happen tomorrow night into Sunday morning, so just keep that in mind if you're in that area.
Less traffic at night.
Yes,
Don't get caught staring at the aurora out there either.
I know.
Hopefully we can see it.
Hopefully we can see a little bit of it. Yeah. All right. NBC News Daily is next on WRAL. Your next local news update in 30 minutes.
You can also get breaking news updates anytime with our WRAL News app. To all the moms, have a great Mother's Day out there.
Stay safe with the latest WRAL Weather Alert Day info. Get up to the minute weather and traffic conditions when you get in your car. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM, in Durham 96.5 FM, and everywhere on 101.5 HD.